The River Cafe was glowing the way only Brooklyn nights could glow. Warm lights bouncing off the Manhattan skyline. Soft jazz drifting around tables dressed in white linen. Maya Turner balanced a tray against her hip, breathing through the exhaustion, settling deep in her bones. Another double shift. Another night, pretending everything was fine. The man at table 7 didn't belong here. Not because he looked out of place. If anything, he blended in too well. Plain gray jacket, clean shave, quiet posture. But something about him made Maya uneasy, like the air around him held a kind of controlled tension. He ordered a medium-rare steak, voice low, steady, oddly calm for a man dining alone. She didn't know his name. She didn't need to. Not until she heard the whispers. Maya had stepped into the staff hallway to grab extra cutlery when 2 men entered behind her. Men she didn't recognize. Their voices sharp, clipped. The kind that didn't match tourists or regulars. "He's here, gray jacket. Table 7. Don't miss the signal this time." Her entire body went cold. She pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding loud enough she feared they'd hear it. One wrong move, and she'd draw attention. One wrong breath, and she'd give herself away. When the men left, Maya's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the tray. She should tell the manager. She should call the police. She should pretend none of this involved her. But her mother's face flashed across her mind, frail in a hospital bed, whispering the words that shaped Maya's entire life. Do what's right, even when it hurts. So when she returned to table 7, she tucked a folded piece of paper beneath the man's steak knife. Her fingers brushed his hand accidentally, she hoped, and her breath hitched. "Your order, sir," she said softly. He looked up, eyes an unexpected deep green, focused in a way that made her chest tighten. As soon as she stepped back, he unfolded the note. "Don't turn around. You're being watched." His expression didn't change at first. Then his jaw locked. His fingers tightened around the paper. A subtle shift came over him, like a man preparing for impact. He slid the note beneath his plate and whispered, barely audible. "Who told you? You need to leave," Maya murmured, forcing calm into her voice. "Right now." Before the window behind him exploded. Glass burst across the table like a shower of ice. Guests screamed. Someone dove to the floor. The lights flickered. Maya froze, unable to move, unable to breathe. The man in the gray jacket rose slowly from his chair, completely unshaken, eyes locked not on the shattered window, but directly on her, as if she were the only thing that mattered in that moment. "Come with me," he said quietly. And that was when Maya realized she had just stepped into a world she was never meant to see and could never walk away from. The second gunshot hadn't come yet, but the silence before it felt deadly. Maya had never been the kind of woman who froze. Life hadn't allowed her that luxury. By 27, she had learned to move through fear the way others moved through morning traffic, quietly, constantly, without complaint. But as she stumbled behind the man in the gray jacket, glass crunching beneath her sneakers, something inside her cracked. Outside, the winter air slapped her cheeks, sharp and punishing. The man grabbed her hand, not roughly, not gently, but with a precision that told her he was used to leading people out of danger. They ran through the narrow service alley behind the River Cafe, her breath fogging in the air as the city roared just beyond the brick walls. "Keep moving," he said. "They'll regroup." That word hit her harder than the explosion of glass. They. Meaning this wasn't random. Meaning he lived in a world where getting shot at was normal. And now she was part of it. Her mind flashed to the things she never said aloud. The pile of unpaid hospital bills sitting in a cracked plastic folder under her bed. The nights she came home too tired to eat. The way her younger brother texted her every week, pretending not to know how broke she was. No one knew how heavy her life felt. No one saw the fatigue behind her smile as she carried plates across the dining room. But this man, this stranger, looked at her like she had just changed the direction of his entire life. When they reached the parking lot, Maya fumbled with her keys. Her hands were shaking again. "We should call the police," she whispered. "They won't get here in time," he replied, And they can't protect you from the people chasing me. She froze. Why would they chase me? I didn't do anything. You did, he said quietly. You warned me. That makes you a witness. Her chest tightened. Witness. A word that suddenly felt like a target painted across her back. He stepped closer. His jacket brushed her arm, warm despite the cold night. Listen, Maya. You're not safe here. Get in the car. She didn't ask how he knew her name. Fear drowned curiosity. She unlocked the Toyota, slid in, and gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. The man shut the passenger door, breath steady, expression unreadable. Then he said the words that made her stomach drop. They weren't aiming for me this time. They were aiming for you. Maya's Toyota lurched out of the parking lot the second her shaky foot hit the gas. The city lights smeared across the windshield, turning New York into streaks of gold and red. She could barely breathe, barely think. Someone had tried to kill her. A waitress, a nobody, a girl who spent her nights refilling water glasses and counting tips to cover her mother's medication. The man beside her watched the road with unsettling calm. Take the Brooklyn Bridge, he said quietly. They won't risk following us into heavy traffic. Maya swallowed hard. Who are you? And why would they want me dead? He hesitated before answering. My name is Ethan. Ethan Ward. She almost laughed because that name meant nothing to her. But something in his expression told her it should have. A shadow passed through his eyes, as if he were measuring how much truth she could handle. You warned me, he continued. That note. If they think you recognize them, you're a threat. But I didn't recognize anyone, she insisted. I don't even know what's happening. You know enough, he said, and they don't take chances. The weight of his words pressed against her chest, stealing air she desperately needed. She gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles white, as horns blared around her. Look, Ethan said finally. Softer this time. I didn't want you involved. But once you slipped me that note, everything changed. Her pulse hammered in her throat. She wanted to scream at him, demand answers, demand her life back. But one glance at his face stopped her. He wasn't scared. He was prepared, like a man who'd lived inside danger long enough to understand its rules. Traffic thickened as they neared the bridge. Maya exhaled shakily. Where do I go now? Just drive straight, Ethan replied. Once we cross, I can get you somewhere safe. Safe, she repeated, voice cracking. The word felt impossible. They neared the midpoint of the bridge, when Ethan suddenly sat up straighter, eyes narrowing at the mirror. Maya, speed up. Why? Because the black SUV behind us hasn't changed lanes since we left the caf. Her stomach dropped. She pressed the gas. The engine groaned. Ethan, she whispered. What do they want from you? He looked at her then, truly looked at her, as if deciding whether to reveal the part of himself he'd hidden from the world. I wasn't supposed to be found tonight, he said. Not until the board meeting on Monday when billions shift hands. Maya blinked. Billions? Ethan nodded once. And then he spoke the truth that blew apart the last of her normal life. I'm not just Ethan Ward. I'm the man they need gone to take over Ward Tech. Maya's hands trembled on the steering wheel as the truth echoed through the small Toyota cabin. Ward Tech. Billions. The kind of power she only heard about on the news while folding laundry in her tiny apartment. And here he was sitting beside her, bleeding slightly from a scrape on his temple, breathing steadily like everything happening was business as usual. The black SUV behind them shifted lanes again. Don't look back, Ethan murmured. Just keep steady. But he didn't need to tell her twice. Every instinct in her body was already screaming danger. Her heartbeat thudded so loudly, she could hardly hear the traffic around her. So you're a billionaire, she whispered, half in disbelief. And you were just eating alone in my section? I needed to blend in, Ethan said. No suits, no security, no attention. Someone inside my company is leaking intel. Tonight was supposed to be my only chance to move freely. And I ruined that, she said, guilt tightening her throat. "No," Ethan corrected softly. "You saved my life." The words hit her with unexpected force. For a moment, the fear loosened its grip on her chest, but only for a moment. The SUV edged closer. Ethan reached into his jacket, and Maya stiffened until he pulled out not a weapon, but a sleek black phone. He typed something fast, expression tightening. "They've jammed long-range signals," he muttered. "They're forcing us into a blind zone." "What does that mean?" "It means they don't want witnesses." Maya's stomach twisted. The skyline of Manhattan glowed ahead of them, beautiful and distant, as if they were driving away from the life she once knew and into something darker. "Take the next right," Ethan instructed. "There's an old service ramp. They won't expect you to know it." "How do you know it?" He finally met her eyes. "Because I've run from people like them before." Something in his tone, low, steady, tormented, told her he wasn't exaggerating. For the first time since she met him, Maya understood. This man didn't just have money. He had enemies, the kind who didn't issue warnings twice. She swerved into the narrow ramp. Tires screeched. The SUV followed, faster this time. "Ethan," she whispered, "what happens if they catch us?" He stared ahead, jaw clenched. "They'll take me," he said, "and they'll make sure you never speak again." Maya's breath hitched. "And the board?" she asked. "They'll hand ward tech to the man who wants it most." "Who?" His answer came soft, lethal, and final. "Victor Hale." The service ramp spit them out near the edge of Dumbo, the kind of industrial strip where streetlights flickered and the city felt too quiet for comfort. Maya gripped the wheel, breathing hard, trying not to think about the SUV still glued to their tail. Her small Toyota wasn't built for this. Its engine wheezed every time she pushed it past 50. "They're trying to corner us," Ethan said, eyes locked on the side mirror. "Stay sharp." "I'm trying," she snapped, panic threading through her voice. "This car can barely outrun a grocery cart." Ethan didn't smile. He didn't even blink. Instead, he did something she never expected. He reached over and steadied her hand on the wheel. "Maya, look at me." She did just for a second, and something in his gaze grounded her. Not softness, not comfort. Focus. The kind she'd never had in her life but desperately needed now. "You're doing everything right," Ethan said. "Just keep going straight until I tell you to turn." The SUV accelerated. A dark shape leaned out the window. Maya's voice broke. "They have a gun!" He saw it at the same moment she did. "Down!" She ducked. The windshield cracked with a violent snap, spiderwebbing across her view. Glass dust rained over her lap. Maya screamed, slamming the brakes on instinct. The tires screeched, the Toyota skidding sideways. The SUV shot past them, braked hard, and fishtailed to block the road. "They're cutting us off," Ethan muttered. "Back up, now." I can't." "Yes, you can. Reverse, Maya." Her shaking hand shifted into reverse, the Toyota jerking violently as she backed into a narrow alleyway. The SUV followed seconds later, its headlights flooding the darkness. "We're trapped," she whispered, throat tight. "God, Ethan, there's no way out." "There's always a way out," he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. The SUV slowed to a crawl, inching closer. Two doors swung open. Silhouettes stepped out, broad, armed, deliberate. Not amateurs, not thieves, professionals. Ethan reached inside his jacket and pulled out a compact black device Maya didn't recognize. Not a weapon. Something worse, something she guessed only men in his world understood. "What is that?" she whispered. "A signal disruptor," he said. "If I trigger it, they'll lose contact with whoever's directing them." "And then what?" He turned to her, eyes dark, steady. "Then it gets loud." Before she could ask what that meant, a new sound cut through the alley tires screaming, an engine roaring. A second vehicle slammed into view from behind them. Maya didn't know whether it came to save them or finish the job. The roar of the second engine shook the narrow alley, its headlights exploding against Maya's rear window like a white flare. She gasped, instinctively curling forward as though she could shield herself from whatever was coming. Her heart hammered so violently, she wondered if Ethan could hear it. The new vehicle, a black sedan, stopped inches behind them, blocking any escape. 2 cars. 2 sets of men. No exits. Maya felt her breath shorten, the panic clawing up her throat like a rising tide. "Ethan," she whispered, barely audible. "I can't do this. I can't." "Yes, you can," he said immediately, voice calm but edged with urgency. "I need you to stay with me. Maya, look at me." She tried. But the world blurred. Her fingers had gone numb, her vision tunneling. The pressure, the fear, the impossibility of the situation, it crashed over her all at once. She felt herself slipping, not physically, emotionally, like something inside her was breaking open. "I am just a waitress," she choked out. "I don't belong in this. I can't outrun gunmen. I can't survive this." "I don't, Maya," Ethan said again, more firmly. "Breathe." She couldn't. Air refused to enter her lungs. Her hands trembled uncontrollably on the steering wheel. For a moment, she wasn't in the car anymore. She was 12 years old, sitting in a hospital hallway, waiting for a doctor to tell her mother whether she'd live. She was 21, staring at a bill she couldn't pay. She was 26, holding her brother while he cried about dropping out of school. Her entire life had been one long string of emergencies, and now she'd finally reached the one she couldn't fix. "Ethan, please," she whispered, voice small, breaking. "I don't want to die." He reached out, cupping the side of her face with surprising gentleness for a man being hunted. "You're not dying tonight." His thumb brushed away the tear she didn't realize had fallen. "I won't let that happen. Do you hear me? I don't lose the people who save me." The words steadied her slightly, but enough for her vision to clear. Enough for her breath to come back in shaky bursts. Then the front SUV's door slammed. A man stepped out. He wasn't holding a gun. He was holding a photograph. Maya's photograph. Ethan's entire body went still. "That's impossible," he whispered. "They shouldn't know who you are." The man lifted the photo to the headlights, smirking. And then he said the words that froze them both. "We've been looking for her longer than we've been looking for you." For a moment, Maya wasn't sure she'd heard him correctly. The man held her photograph casually, almost mockingly, as if her face on a glossy sheet of paper meant nothing. But to her, it meant everything. Someone had been searching for her. Long before tonight. Long before she slipped Ethan that note. Ethan leaned forward slightly, eyes narrowed, voice dropping into something cold enough to make the alley feel even tighter. "Where did you get that?" The man shrugged. "From the same place we got your schedule, your address, your work history." Maya felt her stomach twist, as if someone had reached inside and squeezed. "My schedule?" she whispered. "Oh, yeah," the man said, grinning. "You're a creature of habit, sweetheart. Tuesday morning shift, Thursday doubles, Sunday off unless someone calls out sick. Makes tracking you easy." Her breath caught. Someone had studied her life, watched her, followed her, long before she'd crossed paths with Ethan Ward. "I don't understand," Maya said, shaking her head. "I don't know anything. I've never done anything." "That's what you think," the man interrupted. "But the truth? You've been part of this game for years. You just didn't know whose piece you were." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Maya, don't listen to him. They're trying to break you." "Oh, we don't have to break her," the man said with a smirk. "We just have to remind you of who put her in this mess." He lifted the photograph higher. On the back, written in black marker, was a single name. Maya froze. It wasn't her name. It wasn't Ethan's. It was a name she hadn't heard spoken aloud since she was 18. A name she had buried along with every mistake she'd ever survived. Ethan leaned closer, reading it. His expression shifted from confusion to shock to something almost like fear. "Maya," he whispered, "why is Victor Hale's name on the back of your picture?" Her vision blurred. The city noise faded. All she could hear was her heartbeat and the faint ringing that came whenever old trauma clawed its way back into the light. I don't know," she said. But even she didn't believe the words. The man slid the photo back into his coat and nodded to the SUV. "Bring her out," he called. Maya's pulse spiked. Ethan reached for her hand. Two men stepped forward. And then the alley lit up with blinding white headlights as a third vehicle skidded into view and a familiar female voice shouted, "Get down!" The blinding headlights froze everyone for a split second long enough for Maya to duck as the female voice commanded. Tires screeched, echoing through the narrow alley as the sedan spun sideways, forming a barrier between Maya's Toyota and the armed men. The driver's door flew open. "Move!" the woman shouted. "Now!" Ethan reacted first. He shoved his door open and pulled Maya with him just as the first attacker raised his gun again. The woman fired a warning shot into the air, the crack bouncing off the brick walls like thunder. The gunman flinched, giving them a precious second. Maya stumbled toward the new car, adrenaline blurring the edges of her vision. When the woman stepped into the alley's light, Maya finally saw her face. Sharp jaw, dark hair tied into a low knot, eyes that assessed danger like she'd been born studying it. Lena Brooks, Ethan's assistant. Maya had seen her only once from a distance, in a WardTech press video, never imagining she'd show up in a back alley with the precision of a trained operative. "Get in!" Lena barked, grabbing Maya's wrist and practically shoving her into the back seat. Ethan slid in beside her just as bullets tore through the air, hitting the metal frame of the car with brutal force. "Lena!" Ethan snapped. "How the hell did you find us?" "Because someone tipped me off that Victor's men were moving early," she said, jerking the wheel as the car sped forward. "You made a mistake tonight, Ethan. You went dark. You weren't supposed to move without a security team." "I didn't have a choice." "You always have a choice." Maya clutched the seatbelt, heart still racing. "Wait, why did they have my picture?" she asked weakly. "Why would they be looking for me?" Lena glanced at her in the rearview mirror, just one flicker of the eyes, but it held weight. Understanding, sympathy, and something else Maya couldn't place. "Because you're not just a waitress," Lena said quietly. "Not to them." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. What does that mean? Lena exhaled sharply, as if debating whether she should even say it. "Victor Hale's been searching for a girl who disappeared 8 years ago," she said. "A girl tied to a cover-up he orchestrated long before WardTech." Maya's heart sank. 8 years ago, the same year she changed her last name, the same year everything in her life fell apart. Ethan turned to her slowly. "Maya, what happened to you 8 years ago?" Before she could answer, a black SUV slammed into Lena's bumper, and the world spun violently into darkness. The world came back in fragments, metal grinding, glass raining down, the taste of blood sharp on her tongue. Maya blinked through the haze as Lena wrestled the spinning car back under control. The SUV that hit them skidded across the slick pavement, slamming into a concrete barrier and erupting in smoke. "Everyone alive?" Lena barked, voice steady despite the chaos. Ethan groaned beside Maya, bracing himself against the seat. "I'm fine, Maya?" She tried to speak, but her voice quivered out of her. Yeah. I think so." But she wasn't fine, not even close, because the impact had jostled something loose, not in the car, but in her mind. A memory. A night 8 years ago. Rain slamming against a boarded-up warehouse. A woman screaming. A man with cold eyes shouting her name, a name she no longer used. Hands dragging her away. A gunshot that never left her nightmares. She squeezed her eyes shut, hands trembling. "Ethan, I think Victor Hale. I think he's connected to." Her breath collapsed. "To my past." Ethan didn't pressure her. He simply leaned closer, voice gentle but heavy with concern. "Maya, what did he do to you?" She shook her head. It wasn't him directly. But he was there. "I saw something I wasn't supposed to. I ran. I changed my name. I disappeared." "And he never stopped looking," Lena murmured, eyes flicking to the mirror. "That's why your picture existed. It wasn't coincidence. It was unfinished business." Maya felt the truth slam into her chest. All these years, she thought she'd escaped by sheer luck. But Victor Hale didn't lose people. He found them. The car jerked as Lena made a sharp turn into an underground parking garage beneath an abandoned shopping plaza. "We stay here," she ordered, "at least until backup arrives." Ethan's jaw tightened. "We can't wait. Victor's operatives are multiplying faster than we can evade them." Lena parked behind a support pillar, engine still running. "We need information. Maya's memory may be the missing link in Victor's entire operation." Maya's breathing hitched. "I don't remember enough. It's all blurred." "You will," Lena said softly. "Trauma buries details, but danger digs them up." Ethan turned toward Maya, the dim garage light carving shadows across his face. "Whatever Victor did, you're safe with me now. I promise you that." She wanted to believe him. She needed to. But then a soft metallic click echoed through the garage, close, deliberate, unmistakable. A gun being cocked. Lena's eyes widened. "Maya," she whispered, "don't turn around." Someone was already standing behind her. Maya froze, every muscle in her body locking as the metallic click echoed through the garage. The air turned thick too still, too cold. She didn't dare breathe. Lena raised one hand slowly, signaling silence. Ethan shifted his weight just enough to shield Maya without drawing sudden attention. Then a voice smooth, taunting, slid through the shadows. "Easy, sweetheart. I only need you conscious." A tall figure emerged behind her, the barrel of a gun now pressed lightly between her shoulder blades. Maya's pulse erupted into her ears, drowning out everything but fear. Ethan stepped forward, palms slightly raised. "She's not part of this. I'm the one you want." "Oh, I know who you are, Mr. Ward," the man replied, amused. "But Victor wants loose ends tied. And she," he nudged the gun against Maya's back, "is the biggest loose end of all." Lena subtly angled her body, calculating distance, trajectory, risk. She was preparing something Maya could feel it, but she also sensed Lena wouldn't move unless Maya did. "Let her go," Ethan said, voice low, steady, lethal. "You don't walk out of here if you touch her." The man laughed. "You really don't get it. Victor doesn't want me to walk out. He wants me to finish the job." And that starts with a rush of fury surged through Maya. Years of running, years of hiding, years of pretending the past couldn't find her. She wasn't the same terrified girl from 8 years ago. Not anymore. Her instincts took over. She stomped backward with all her weight, hitting the man's knee. He stumbled. The gun dipped just an inch, but enough. Ethan lunged at the same moment. Lena swept in from the side. A shot exploded, ricocheting off concrete. Maya hit the ground as the three struggled. Shouts, grunts, the clatter of metal. She scrambled behind a pillar, heart slamming, breath shaking. A second gunshot blasted through the garage. Then silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Maya peeked out from behind the pillar, just enough to see the man collapsed on the floor, Lena standing over him, her breath sharp, her hands steady. Ethan kicked the gun away, chest rising and falling. Maya crawled forward, voice trembling. "Is he unconscious?" Lena said. "For now? We don't have long before backup comes." Ethan turned to Maya. His eyes softened for the briefest moment. "You did that. You saved us." Before she could answer, Lena's phone vibrated. She checked the screen, and all color drained from her face. "Ethan," she whispered, "Victor's not after you anymore." She turned the phone for them to see. A live video feed of Maya's mother appeared terrified, restrained, pleading for help. Maya's world narrowed to the small, shaking image on Lena's phone screen. Her mother, frail, confused, terrified, sat tied to a metal chair in a dim room. A single overhead bulb flickered, casting harsh shadows across her pale face. She kept whispering something Maya couldn't hear, lips trembling. "No," Maya breathed. "No, no, no! Please, this can't be real." Ethan stepped closer, jaw clenched, voice low. "Where did this come from?" "Anonymous drop," Lena said. "Encrypted, bounced through 6 proxies. Whoever sent it knows what they're doing." Maya grabbed the phone with trembling hands. "Mom? Mom? Look at me. Please look up." As if hearing her daughter through the screen, the older woman lifted her head, eyes glossy with fear. "Maya, baby, don't come! Do you hear me? Don't let them!" A hand entered the frame and yanked her head back. Maya's scream echoed through the parking garage. "Stop! Don't touch her! Please, please!" The masked figure in the video didn't speak. He simply held up a card to the camera. 1 hour. Ethan's face hardened. "They want leverage. They want you scared and compliant." "They want more than that," Lena added quietly. "They want her silent. Permanently." Maya shook her head violently. "Why? Why my mom? She doesn't know anything. She didn't do anything." "It's not about her," Ethan said gently. "It's about you. Victor knows your disappearance wasn't random. He thinks you saw something all those years ago, something that could destroy him." "I was a kid," Maya cried. "I didn't understand anything. I barely remember that night." "You remember enough that he's willing to kill for it," Lena said. Maya pressed her fists against her forehead, tears streaking down her cheeks. "I can't lose her. She's all I have left." "I can't, Ethan. Please. We have to go. Right now." He didn't hesitate. "We're going. But we're not charging blind. Lena, pull the footage apart. Anything that gives us location, shadows, wiring, sound bleed, wall texture. Analyze all of it." Lena was already typing. "On it." Maya paced, barely able to breathe. Her mother's broken voice echoed in her mind like a wound that wouldn't close. Ethan stepped in front of her, gripping her shoulders. "Maya, look at me. I swear to you we will get her back. Alive." She nodded through trembling lips, clinging to the last thread of hope she had. Then Lena froze, eyes widening at her screen. "Ethan, I found something." He leaned in. "What is it?" Lena turned the phone around. The video wasn't pre-recorded. It's streaming from inside Ward Tech. For a long second, no one spoke. The stale air of the underground garage seemed to thicken around them as Lena's words sank in. Streaming from inside Ward Tech. Maya's stomach twisted. "They're using your building? Your company?" Ethan's expression hardened into something carved from stone. "Victor's been inside longer than I thought." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "He must have placed operatives weeks ago, maybe months." "But why my mother?" Maya whispered. "Why take her there?" "Because it's the one place Victor knows I'll come," Ethan said, "and the one place where he controls every inch of terrain." Lena zoomed in on the video feed, analyzing the background. "The wiring, the vent placement, I think this is sublevel 3, old maintenance wing. It hasn't been used in years." "That's why Victor chose it," Ethan muttered. Maya swallowed hard. "Then let's go." "Now." Ethan turned toward her slowly, voice measured. "Storming a hostile building where Victor controls security and communications, that's suicide." "So is doing nothing," Maya shot back, tears burning hot in her eyes. "My mother has 1 hour. 1. I can't sit here while she's... Her voice collapsed, but she didn't. Ethan stepped forward, gripping her shoulders with steady, grounding hands. "Maya, I promise you we're going. But we do this smart." Lena nodded. "Security rotation shifts in 11 minutes. If we time it right, we can slip in through the east freight entrance. Cameras there are old, slow refresh rate." "And once we're in?" Maya asked. "That," Ethan said, "depends on whether Victor expects us to walk right into his trap." The word trap tightened every nerve in Maya's body. "Then don't walk," she whispered. "Run ahead of him. Do something he doesn't expect." Ethan actually paused at that. Lena glanced between them. "She's right. Victor anticipates logic. He doesn't anticipate emotion. Or unpredictability." "You mean desperation," Maya said quietly. "Sometimes it's the same thing," Lena replied. Ethan breathed out slowly. "Fine, we move in 5 minutes." Maya felt a tremor of relief, thin, fragile, but real. Lena added, "We'll need gear, and someone on the inside to open sublevel access." Ethan stiffened. "There's only one person I trust with that." "Who?" Maya asked. Ethan met her eyes, conflicted. "My brother." Maya blinked. She hadn't even known he had a brother. But the look in Ethan's eyes wasn't hope. It was dread. He's already inside Ward Tech, Ethan said. And if Victor reached him first, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. Because Maya understood. They might be walking into a rescue or a betrayal waiting to happen. The ride toward Manhattan felt like moving through the ribcage of a sleeping beast, quiet, tense, ready to snap awake at any moment. From the back seat, Maya watched Ethan's profile as neon streaks from the city passed over his face. He looked determined, but underneath that steel exterior was something raw. Fear. Not for himself. For the brother he wasn't sure he could trust. "You never mentioned having a brother," Maya said softly. Ethan didn't look at her. "Because I didn't want him mixed into this. Julian's different. He stayed away from the power plays, the board politics. He always wanted a quiet life." "And Victor pulled him in?" she asked. "Or he let himself be pulled," Ethan murmured. "Julian never believed Ward Tech should have been mine alone. Father left it to me because Julian didn't want the responsibility, but envy can grow in silence." Lena, driving with surgical precision, added, "Julian had access to sub-level keys. If Victor compromised him, that's how they got Maya's mother inside the building." Maya swallowed. "What if Julian didn't betray you? What if Victor forced him?" Ethan hesitated for the first time. "I've seen Victor break men much stronger than Julian." "It's possible. But if Julian chose Victor..." His jaw tightened. "I don't know if I can save him." A quiet fell over the car as they approached Ward Tech Tower, its mirrored windows rising like a blade into the winter sky. Security lights glowed faintly around the freight entrance. Lena pulled into the shadow of a loading dock, killing the engine. "We go on foot from here." They climbed out, cold air slapping their faces. Ethan tapped his earpiece. "Julian, if you can hear me, it's Ethan. I need access to sub-level 3. Now. If Victor's forcing you, say nothing. Just open the door." Static crackled. Then a beep. The lock on the freight door clicked. It opened. Maya exhaled in shaky relief. "That means he's helping us, right?" But Ethan didn't move. Lena touched the door gently, checking for sensors. Someone opened it. But that doesn't mean it was Julian. Ethan stepped inside first, shielding Maya with his body. The hallway beyond was dim, humming with old electrical lines. They moved quietly, passing empty maintenance rooms, each more desolate than the last. Then they reached a door marked Sub-Level 3 Access. Light bled from beneath it. Ethan raised a hand, signaling them to stop. He leaned close, listening. Maya held her breath. Footsteps, a familiar voice. "Ethan, you shouldn't have come." Julian. But his tone wasn't fearful. It was cold. Calculated. And then he said, "Victor promised me everything you stole." Ethan froze as Julian's voice drifted through the crack of the door. Familiar, steady, and sharpened into something unrecognizable. Maya felt the air shift around them, like the building itself was holding its breath. Lena whispered, "We need eyes inside before we move." But Ethan pushed the door open. Slowly, quietly. Inside the sub-level corridor stood Julian Ward, dark hair disheveled, suit wrinkled, hands clasped behind his back, like a man preparing for confession. But the look he gave Ethan wasn't guilt. It was triumph. "Hello, brother," Julian said. Ethan stared, disbelief cutting deeper than any blade. "What did he promise you, Julian? Money? Power? A title you never wanted?" Julian's laugh was small, bitter. "You think this is about money? Ethan, you never understood me. You inherited control of Ward Tech not because you earned it, but because Father feared I would run it with heart." Lena stepped forward. "And instead, you let Victor Hale run you." Julian's jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed fixed on Ethan. "Victor sees value in me. He listens. He respects my ideas. He doesn't treat me like a fragile ornament." "You were never fragile," Ethan said quietly. "You were the best of us. Julian, whatever he told you, it's a lie. Victor doesn't build people. He uses them." "And you don't?" Julian snapped. "You kept me away from leadership, away from decisions, away from everything that mattered." "That was your choice," Ethan shot back. You said you didn't want the pressure. I didn't want your control. Maya watched the brothers, two men shaped by the same childhood, now standing on opposite ends of a battlefield neither asked for. The pain in Julian's eyes wasn't rebellion. It was years of feeling unseen. Where is her mother? Maya demanded. Julian finally looked at her, expression unreadable. Safe. For now, Victor didn't hurt her. And you believe that? Ethan asked. Julian hesitated just long enough to betray doubt. Then he recovered. Victor wants information, nothing more. Once he has what he needs, she'll be released. What information? Maya whispered. Julian stepped closer, lowering his voice. 8 years ago. What you witnessed wasn't an accident, Maya. You saw Victor's first cleanup job. You disappeared. He needs to know how much you remember. Maya's pulse thundered. Ethan moved in front of her. You're not giving her to him, Julian sighed. Then you leave me no choice. He lifted his hand. A hidden security panel blinked to life. Lena's eyes went wide. Ethan! He's triggering the lockdown. Sirens erupted. Metal shutters began dropping, and Maya realized they were about to be sealed inside with Julian and Victor's men closing in. The sub-level corridor erupted in red emergency light as metal shutters slammed down one by one, the echoes rattling through the concrete like prison bars locking into place. Maya's breath hitched. The sound alone felt suffocating, final, like the building had swallowed them whole. Julian! Ethan shouted, stepping forward. Stop this! You know what Victor does to people who fail him. Don't become one of them. Julian didn't flinch. I'm not failing him. I'm proving myself. His finger hovered over the biometric pad, controlling the final gate. You're the obstacle, Ethan. Not Victor. Not father. You. Lena lunged toward the security panel, but the moment she moved, Julian tapped a second command. A blast door shot downward between them, cutting Lena off from Ethan and Maya. Lena! Maya screamed, slamming her hand against the steel barrier. I'm okay! Lena yelled back, already working on the circuitry. But you two need to move now. Victor's men are on sub-level 4, heading your way, less than 2 minutes. Ethan grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her down the corridor, boots pounding against the floor. The emergency lights flickered above them, deepening the shadows and sharpening every echo. Maya's heart raced so violently she felt dizzy. What happens if we're locked in? She managed to whisper. We won't be, Ethan said, but his voice held a crack she'd never heard before. Behind them, Julian's calm words echoed down the hall. You can't outrun the truth forever, Ethan. Maya turned briefly as they ran. Julian stood still, hands clasped, watching them with a look that was almost heartbroken. As if losing Ethan hurt him more than betraying him. A security alert blared overhead. Sub-level containment engaged. Armed response deployed. Ethan swore under his breath. They released the tactical team. Maya felt her chest tighten. That sounds bad. It's worse than bad, Ethan said. Victor's tactical unit shoots first, asks never. They skidded around a corner just as the first wave of footsteps thundered from behind. Shadows moved. Guns raised. Voices barked orders. In here! Ethan yanked open a maintenance hatch. Go, Maya! She climbed inside the narrow shaft, metal cold against her palms. Ethan followed, sealing the hatch behind them just as a volley of bullets screamed into the hallway. The shaft trembled as boots closed in. Maya's breath turned ragged. Ethan! What if they find us? He exhaled shakily. Then I fight, and you run. No. Maya grabbed his arm. We stay alive together, both of us. Before Ethan could respond, a deafening clang echoed through the tunnels. Something or someone was crawling toward them from the darkness ahead. The tunnel vibrated as something crawled toward them, metal scraping, breath echoing in the narrow shaft. Maya clutched Ethan's arm, heart hammering so loudly she feared it would give away their position. Stay behind me, Ethan whispered, shifting his body to shield her. The movement in the darkness grew louder. Closer. A silhouette emerged low, deliberate, like an animal stalking prey. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Then a whisper floated through the darkness. "Don't shoot, it's me." Lena. She crawled forward, face streaked with dust, a cut along her temple, but eyes sharp as ever. Maya exhaled in shaky relief. "How did you?" Ethan began. "I bypassed the shutter controls," Lena said, slightly breathless. "Julian underestimated how much of the old ward tech system I helped design." "Where's the tactical team?" Ethan asked. "2 corridors away, moving fast. They have heat signatures, they'll find us in minutes." Maya swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" Lena pulled a compact device from her pocket, small, black, blinking with a faint green light. "We use the maintenance loop. There's a vertical shaft ahead. It empties near sub-level 3's mechanical bay." "And my mother?" Maya whispered. Lena paused, her jaw tightened. "There's good news and bad news." "Start with the good," Ethan said. "She's alive. The feed updated 2 minutes ago." Maya closed her eyes, relief breaking through the terror. "And the bad news?" Ethan pressed. Lena hesitated. There was a voice off camera, Victor giving an instruction. He said, "Move her before the brothers arrive." Maya's blood ran cold. "Where? Where are they taking her?" "That's the part I can't decode," Lena said. "But it means they know you're inside the building." Ethan cursed under his breath. "Julian betrayed my codes. He must have fed Victor our movements." They crawled deeper into the shaft, metal rattling beneath them. The walls grew narrower, the air heavier. Maya wiped her palms on her jeans, trying to steady her breathing. As they reached the vertical drop, Lena secured a line, glancing back at Ethan. "We descend one at a time. I'll go first." She slipped down the rope with practiced ease. Ethan turned to Maya. "I'll be right below you. Don't look down." She nodded, gripping the rope. Her hands trembled, but she forced herself over the edge. Halfway down, a distant alarm blared, followed by something worse. A voice. Julian's. Broadcast through the intercom system. "Ethan! If you don't turn back now, Victor will kill her." Maya's stomach twisted. Julian continued colder. "And this time, I won't stop him." Maya's hands slipped on the rope when Julian's voice echoed through the ventilation shaft. The metal vibrated with every syllable, like the whole building pulsed with his betrayal. Ethan steadied her from below, gripping her ankle to keep her from falling. "Maya, focus," he whispered. "Julian's trying to break you. Don't let him." But Julian's voice kept pouring through the speakers, calm, controlled, chilling. "You should have stayed hidden, Maya. You were safer when the world thought you didn't exist." Her breath shook. Memories clawed back again. Her mother screaming, that warehouse door slamming, the gunshot that chased her into every nightmare since. She forced herself to keep descending. When they reached the bottom, Lena motioned for silence. They crept into the mechanical bay, a cavernous, half-lit room where pipes snaked along the ceiling and steam hissed from old valves. The air smelled of rust and something chemical. Lena pulled up her tablet. "Your mother was here." The temperature readings matched the video stream's heat signature. "Was?" Ethan repeated, tension spiking. "Victor moved her less than 3 minutes ago," Lena said. "We just missed them." Maya felt something inside her crack. "We have to find her. Please, there has to be a trail." Ethan touched her back gently. "We will." But Lena's expression darkened as she zoomed in on a new set of thermal readings. "There's movement coming toward us. Heavy. Organized. 8 no, 9 operatives." Maya's blood ran cold. "Victor's tactical team?" "Worse," Ethan said. "Victor's personal security. They don't take prisoners." Lena nodded to a narrow corridor. "We move now." They sprinted down the passageway, the pounding of boots echoing behind them like thunder. Red lights flashed overhead. Julian had activated full lockdown. Every door they passed sealed automatically. "You can't run forever." Julian's voice followed them. "Victor already knows where you're going." "Shut up," Ethan muttered under his breath, jaw clenched. The corridor opened into a control chamber stacked with old servers. Lena rushed to a terminal, typing so fast her fingers blurred. I can loop the cameras for 60 seconds, she said. But after that, they'll know exactly where you are. That's enough, Ethan said. We just need a lead. A soft beep chimed on Lena's device. A new feed popped up. Maya's heart nearly stopped. The camera showed her mother still alive being pushed into an elevator by two masked men. Sub-level 5, Lena breathed. The abandoned biomedical wing. Maya surged forward. Take us there now. But then another figure stepped into the elevator frame. Victor Hale, smiling, and he said, Bring the daughter. She watches her mother die first. Maya's knees nearly buckled as Victor's chilling command echoed from Lena's tablet. Bring the daughter. She watches her mother die first. Ethan grabbed her arm before she could fall. His voice, low and steady, forced air back into her lungs. He won't touch her. Or you, I swear it. But promises felt thin against the reality closing in on them, armed men in every hallway. Julian manipulating the building's controls. Victor dragging her mother toward a floor no one had accessed in almost a decade. Lena slammed her tablet shut. We have 30 seconds before Victor's people pinpoint our location. Move! They sprinted down the corridor again, Ethan slightly ahead. Lena scanning every sensor panel they passed. Sub-level 5 loomed beneath them like a grave cold, abandoned, sealed since the company's earliest years. Maya had never heard of it, but Ethan had. His voice darkened as they reached the final stairwell. That wing was used for early biotech contracts, some legal, some not. Father shut it down after Victor crossed a line. What line? Maya breathed. The kind you don't come back from. The stairwell was tight and steep, each footstep echoing like a countdown. When they burst through the door at the bottom, a gust of frigid, stale air greeted them. The abandoned biomedical wing stretched before them rows of darkened labs, overturned equipment, flickering lights that shouldn't have flickered at all. He's here, Lena whispered. Victor's been preparing this level for weeks. A metallic crash sounded behind them, security forces breaching the upper stairwell. Ethan pulled Maya behind a row of old storage cabinets. They're blocking every exit. Lena, reroute something, anything. I'm trying, she hissed, fingers flying across her tablet. Then Maya saw it. A smear of fresh blood on the floor. Her mother's. Her heart lurched. This way! They dragged her through here! Maya! Wait! Ethan grabbed her wrist, but she pulled free. Adrenaline drowning every instinct for caution. She raced down the dark hallway, calling out hoarsely, Mom! Mom! Her voice echoed, swallowed by the cold. Then a figure stepped into the corridor ahead. Not Victor, not Julian. A man in tactical armor, visor down, rifle raised. He pointed directly at Maya. Ethan lunged forward, shouting her name. But the man spoke first, his voice filtered, distorted, and yet unmistakable. Maya Turnerby, order of Ward Tech Internal Command. You're under arrest. Maya froze, breath locking in her chest as the armored officer leveled his rifle at her. Sweat slid down her spine, despite the freezing air of the abandoned biomedical wing. Ethan put himself between them so fast she barely registered the movement. Stand down, Ethan barked. You don't take orders from Victor Hale. I'm the CEO, your CEO. The man didn't lower his weapon. Not anymore, sir. His voice, distorted but steady, sent a tremor through the hallway. Per internal command, you are to be detained for breach of security protocol and endangerment of corporate assets. Corporate assets? Lena snapped from behind a fallen cabinet. You mean his mother? Seriously? Mom, step back, the soldier ordered. This isn't your concern. The hell it isn't, Lena hissed. Maya stared at the officer. Something about him was wrong. The way he stood. The tilt of his head. The slight tremor in his left hand. Recognition tugged at the edge of her mind. Ethan kept his body in front of hers, arms spread. If Victor forged internal orders, you're being used. Negative, sir, the soldier replied. These orders came from the Ward Tech executive chain. They were signed by, he hesitated. Ethan stiffened. Signed by who? The soldier swallowed. Julian Ward? Maya felt Ethan's breath hitch. Not a full gasp, just a subtle breaking. Julian. Again. Not just betraying. Hijacking the company's entire chain of command. Lena cursed under her breath. He's using legacy clearance codes. That's why the tactical team isn't listening to you. The soldier shifted his rifle. Maya Turner, step forward, hands where I can see them. Her pulse roared in her ears. She saw her mother's face. Terrified, helpless, somewhere beyond the next corridor. She couldn't be arrested. Not now. Not when every second mattered. Ethan whispered, Maya, don't move. I'll handle this. Sir, the soldier warned, do not obstruct. But Maya's eyes suddenly widened. She recognized the tremor in his left hand, the scar on his knuckles, the faint limp. She whispered, take off the mask. The soldier stiffened. Ma'am, take it off, she cried. A beat of silence. Then the man slowly raised his hand and lifted his visor. Lena gasped. Ethan staggered back a step, because the face behind the helmet wasn't a stranger. It was Julian. Bruised, sweating, eyes full of something twisted between apology and resolve. Ethan, he said softly, you should have stayed away. He raised the rifle directly at Maya and pulled the trigger. The gunshot tore through the corridor loud enough to shake dust from the ceiling. Maya flinched, bracing for pain that never came. Instead, she felt Ethan's arms wrap around her, pulling her down as the bullet slammed into a steel pipe overhead, sending sparks across the floor. Julian staggered, the recoil hitting wrong. His hands trembled violently now. Julian, stop! Ethan shouted, rising between him and Maya. You don't want to do this? Julian's breathing fractured. His eyes filled with conflict locked on Ethan. You think I want any of this? Victor said he'd protect me. He said I could finally matter. You always mattered, Ethan said, voice breaking. You're my brother. That was enough. Julian's grip faltered. For the first time, he seemed small, lost inside armor that didn't fit him. But behind him, Victor appeared at the end of the corridor, one hand gripping Maya's mother, the other holding a gun. Well, Victor drawled, isn't this touching? Maya's mother whimpered. Victor pressed the barrel to her temple. Let her go, Maya cried, stepping forward. Trade, Victor said simply. You for her. Ethan moved instantly. No, you're not taking her. Victor laughed. You can't protect her. You can't protect anyone, not even your own family. The words hit Julian harder than the recoil. He turned slowly toward Victor, realization dawning he was never a partner. He was a pawn. Julian, Victor said sharply, finish what you started. But Julian didn't raise the rifle again. He lowered it and stepped between Victor and Maya. Victor's face twisted. You useless! Julian spoke without looking back. Ethan! I'm sorry. The shot that followed echoed like a crack in the world. But it wasn't Julian firing. It was Lena. Victor collapsed, the gun clattering from his hand. Maya rushed to her mother, sobbing as she cut the restraints. Ethan caught Julian as he sank to the floor, wounded but alive. Why Ethan choked? Why save us? Julian managed a faint, broken smile. Because you never stopped being my brother. Sirens wailed as federal agents stormed the sublevel, summoned by Lena's emergency override. Maya held her mother close, relief shaking through her like a miracle she never expected to receive. Hours later, as dawn broke over Manhattan, Maya stepped outside Wardtech Tower. Ethan joined her, bruised but alive. It's over, he said. She took his hand. No, it's beginning. For the first time in 8 years, Maya felt safe, seen, free, because the darkness had tried to break her, and she walked out carrying the light. So that's how our story comes to an end, and if you're still here with me, right now, in this moment, then something in this journey must have touched your heart in its own quiet way. And maybe that's the real point. Life throws us into darkness, but as Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Maya's pain didn't break her. It shaped her. Ethan's fear didn't stop him. It guided him back to what truly mattered. And Julian, even in his downfall, he showed us that people aren't just good or bad. They're wounded, searching, trying. If this story reminded you that courage can come from the most ordinary people, that healing is possible, that we are all stronger than our past, then stay a little longer with us. Like the video, share it with someone who might need a spark of hope tonight, and subscribe so you don't miss the next journey we walk through together. You being here means more than you know. And remember, no matter how dark things get, you carry the light that can guide you home.